A lot of the 5D shift doesn't happen when you're meditating or having some type of obvious spiritual experience. It often happens at night when your body is relaxed and your mind is quiet. Then you can begin processing through your old emotions and adjusting to the higher frequencies. So for this reason, many people are going through this profound shift into higher consciousness with maybe millions of other people right now on the planet, but they don't really know it because it's not coming in the way they expected. And what this video is going to do is share with you the various experiences that you might be having right now at night that indicate you are going to 5D, going to this new earth, as Dolores Cannon calls it. The first one is you're waking up frequently between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. Not at all times, but you might find that you go through phases where you're waking up at relatively, or for some of you, exactly at the same time each and every night. And you wake up and you're wide awake. It's the middle of the night. You may have just come off a pretty profound or vivid or unusual dream. And here you are lying wide awake, alone with your thoughts, alone with what's really going on in your life. Because during these hours, you really get to see where you're at. Most of us do a pretty good job of distracting ourselves through our daily life. We're all pretty busy. But this 5D shift demands that you look at what's really going on, how you really feel about your life, your job, your relationships, yourself. And you really can't, it's harder to hide from that during these hours, which is why so many people wake up around this time and find themselves unable to fall back asleep because they're finally processing themselves and processing their lives. It's also said that the spiritual activity in the veil is thinner during this window of time. I can't attest to that for a fact, but I've gone through this many times and it can be kind of frustrating when you can't fall back asleep because your mind is racing. But the question is, why is it racing? Where's the imbalance? What's demanding from the psyche to be looked at? Also, if you're sometimes going through phases where you're having intense, unusual, symbolic, vivid types of dreams. You know, I had a dream I shared a little while ago on my channel where I woke up in like my house and there was a huge, aggressive white bull just trampling through my house. And I looked it up, like a white bull, that's a very unusual thing. I don't think in my life seen or thought about white bulls. They've never crossed my conscious mind anyways. And yet here it was, as clear as day, not only trampling my house in my dream, but evoking a tremendous amount of emotion. I woke up with like the sweats, wondering like, what the heck was that all about? Sensing it had and carried a deeper meaning, which looking back in retrospect, it certainly did. It was very much representative of, in my case, being kind of off track. And it was like the divine forces were kind of coming in to balance me out, you might say. But nonetheless, you might have your own version of this. And Carl Jung talks about this all the time. He's done a lot of research. In fact, I forgot the number. Some of you who are fans might know, but it's like 10,000, some crazy amount of dream interpretations for his clients. And he's got a few different categories of dreams. Or you could say, many times your dreams are your psyche's reflection of what's going on in your life. Like, what are you feeling? What's happening? Are you in a transition? Many times this will be reflected in your life. Sometimes you can have dreams that tap into like broader realms within the psyche, which he called the collective unconscious. You know, sometimes many people will have dreams about like, you know, the politics or natural disasters and things like that. Now that oftentimes can correlate to the individual, but not always. Now, sometimes you can go into what he calls like the archetypal realms. This is even like beyond the collective unconsciousness, where you get to like what Plato calls like the form, the origins of these independent like symbols that represent aspects of reality. I know it's kind of a weird thing to say. For example, seeing a snake, that's a universal symbol. You may have never seen a snake in your entire life, but you may have dreamt of a snake. And so have millions and maybe billions of other people, and that's been happening for a very long time. This is when you start getting into the archetypal symbols where there's like a universal symbolism. But oftentimes when this happens, it feels like a very otherworldly type of dream. It feels very foreign to you. You may have like a pattern within your dreams, and all of a sudden there's this symbol and it's evoking a tremendous amount of emotion. You wake up wondering what the heck it was. Maybe you wake up and you look it up online. What does it mean to see a snake or an eagle or a white bull for that matter? This starts to happen because you're starting to shift your consciousness. You're starting to go beyond just a very limited way of going through life, seeing just yourself and just your little itty bitty life. Life is bigger. You are bigger. Your consciousness is much more vast. And as you shift to 5D, oftentimes your dreams will reflect that. In fact, before I move on, if this relates with you, what is your craziest dream symbol? Drop it down below. What have you seen in a dream that has really puzzled you? The white bull is up there for me. Another time I've had it where an eagle flew out of an ancient lake. And even in the dream, in my mind, I knew it was an ancient lake somehow. And it dropped in my hands an eagle head. And then I woke up. So that's one of my craziest ones. How about you? Have you guys had these kind of dreams? If so, what are your symbols? Drop them down below. I think it'd be really cool to see. The third indicator is that when you wake up, you feel as if you have traveled somewhere. A lot of people speculate that we do. Not our bodies, obviously, but our soul, our consciousness will leave the body and not just stay in the head and imagine certain things, but literally go elsewhere, go back into the spirit world. My wife always talks about that. She always, and my friend Aaron Dowdy also, they always talk, and they say they feel like they go places, like actual places, realms during the dream time. And you might be doing a lot of traveling, and when you come back, even though you've slept a long time, you might still feel tired. Some of you may be even like know that's happening. I've had it one time a long time ago. I had this dream where I was sort of astral traveling, and I actually was lucid in the dream, and I like was traveling around like in the sky, flying around. And I remember I came upon this tribe of native people, and they all had darker skin, and their faces were painted, and they looked like what you kind of would expect like an indigenous tribe to look like. And they were chanting this very, this like song in another language I've never heard in my life. And it was so vivid. I woke up and I was, for a time anyway, I recalled the chant exactly. I was able to say it. I woke up with it kind of echoing in my head. Like, what is that? It's pretty crazy. Another one I'll just call nighttime upgrades. This is one of the more unusual ones. Most people will not think too much of having an unusual dream. Dreams are pretty unexplored territory for humanity for the most part. But sometimes you have these upgrades during the night where you feel like you wake up and you feel energy and buzzing. You might hear noise of energy moving its way up your spine, through your body. You can feel it. It's a visceral experience. And sometimes you even hear like a high pitch, like in your like audibly. And this can be very unusual for obvious reasons. You wonder, like, what is going on? Is something going on with my nervous system? What's the deal here? Sometimes these upgrades can accompany releasing of old trapped memories, old deep emotions that are kind of related with those memories as well. So it's this very bizarre, multifaceted experience, these upgrades I speak of, where there's energy moving through your body. In and of itself, that's bizarre. But also, there's like this purging taking place as well of old emotions, old memories, just randomly, childhood memories maybe, popping in your brain very vividly. Sometimes even past life memories. You may even have images of yourself as a different person, but it's you. I've had that as well. Accompanied by these frequencies pulsating through your body, which is already obviously unusual in of itself, but when it happens at nighttime, it's even a bit more scary, I find. It's like, what the It's like I sometimes feel like a little kid, like afraid, like feeling unsafe sometimes because something's happening that I don't quite understand. Now, I've had this happen so many times, and maybe you have as well, but what I've come to do is appreciate them. Because as bizarre as this is, it is in fact an upgrade. And I went for a long time, feeling concerned and resisting it. But over the course, I've realized the effect it has on me afterwards, which is feeling more conscious, more clear, more free from those trapped emotions. And I've learned, because I developed that association with it, when it happens now, it's like this welcomed, neat thing that I'm excited about for the effects. And that allows me to kind of let go and have more of a intrigued, curious, appreciative mindset. And then oftentimes it's energy movement, which is initially kind of resisted naturally from people. Like, what is happening? You clench up. Eventually it can move through you more with less resistance, because you're relaxing into it, and it can be very blissful. It can really connect you to high states of consciousness. It can connect you to deeper experiences of like embodying love and divinity. It can allow you to perceive messages and guidance from your spirit team and all the non-physical consciousnesses that are probably looking over you at all times. It can really open you up very, very spiritually. And if it's happening, that's exactly what's happening, whether you're resisting or not. I just give this advice to say, like, if you have been resisting, for one, it's understandable. I did too. But next time it happens, try letting go. Try choosing to trust. Try just welcoming it. And it can be a very different experience. One of them, you find that there are times where you just need more sleep. You can't get enough sleep. Other times you need less, but you're fine. Sometimes you find you're sleeping way less than normal. You're waking up feeling right as rain, and it almost feels like it would be forced to lay there and try to sleep any longer. But this can be paired with the exact opposite, where you are sleeping 8, 9 hours, sometimes me, for example, and you wake up and it's like you could have used a couple more hours of sleep. There's just a lot of work goes into shifting to 5D. It's not just this thing you learn to do, like you learn how to open a box and it's open and that's it, and it's done. It's this gradual process of upgrading your mind, your body, your spirit, your body especially. And it takes a toll on the body. It takes a toll on the nervous system for your physical vessel to upgrade almost to, like, it feels like we're heading into like a quasi-physical place where there's a lot more spirit, you might say, a lot more of that numinous soul spirit energy sort of coming into our body, elevating our consciousness. But as a result, our bodies need to be able to house and handle that higher frequency, that like more refined circuitry we need in our body. And from my observation and talking to people, it does seem it takes time. It takes a little while. It's a bit of a process. You might find that you sometimes wake up with sudden clarity, whether it was a dream or you just wake up with this knowingness, and your next steps in life, your next creative endeavor is like crystal clear. I had this all the time, and now when it happens, I just get up, man. I get up at 3, 4, whatever time it is in the morning, and I get out my notebook, which is not around me for some reason, and I'll just like go to work. And it's like you're fueled by spirit. For all the reasons I said, again, I speculate because we're more relaxed, or we're less controlling, we block out creative breakthrough ideas a lot less, and therefore they can kind of finally pop in. I think sometimes we have like our next step, the clarity we're like really wanting to find is like right there, just right, like sort of hovering around us, but our logical conscious mind it can be too rigid sometimes. It just doesn't happen. But when we relax it, it it can do that. But has that happened to you? Have you ever like woken up in like say the last couple of months, last few months, last year maybe even, with just this like a download, as the spiritual folks call it now, that you just couldn't ignore? And this download oftentimes is really like a powerful, it's like it represents progress. It represents like your next big step. Now, what I've learned though, however, there's kind of it can be a little tricky. Sometimes I wake up with these like very clear downloads that this is what I'm gonna do. But in the end, it's not what I actually do. It's like not in and of itself the right move necessarily. But what it does is get you to the next move. So I've learned not to be super attached to these like creative breakthroughs and these creative downloads that can come in the night, and just to follow the energy. The energy lets you know you're on track, not what your brain interprets it as all the time. A lot of times it will lead you into a learning lesson. It'll lead you into clarity. In fact, this happened to me a little while ago where I had this very vivid dream, and it had involved my business. So I woke up and I like sent my business partner, who just texted me a second ago actually, a long voice note like, "Hey man, this is what we're gonna do. I'm so excited about this." You know, and I thought for sure he would be on board with it, but he wasn't. He was like, "I don't know about that. I don't know." And he kind of like brought me down to earth. And I was like, "Oh, okay." But that conversation that we had led me to having so much more clarity about where my partner was at, that shortly after that, we had kind of a unified plan that was a blend of what I thought we should do and a blend of where he was at. And this dream and this motivation, it kind of led to that clarity, but again, in kind of a roundabout way. And I can see this in my younger self a lot, where I used to be very attached to like what I initially get being it. And then very disappointed, consequently, when it doesn't work out that way. But eventually I realized, again, it's just not how guidance works. It's not all that literal. Oftentimes it sets us up to take the necessary action steps that eventually lead to where we're really meant to go. And I'll leave the final and most bizarre one for last. And that is encountering extraterrestrials. Some people watching my videos, I bet, have had abduction experiences. Some people experience communication with their ET family in the dream time. I've had neither, to my knowledge. Unfortunately, I'd be down, I think. But I have had multiple times dreams where I'm interacting with UFOs and extraterrestrials and things like that. And you know what happens to me, which kind of I think is what I sense happening with a lot of people, is usually in my dreams they will come forth as cartoon characters, like very like old school, not like the modern cartoons, which are like so real looking. I'm talking like straight up like cartoons when I was a kid, like very like Bugs Bunny type of characters. And to me, I always know it's an ET because I can sense it. And also my what I think is that my conscious mind, as much as eager as it is to like, let's do it, let's meet the extraterrestrial, I don't think I'm as ready as I would like to believe. And there's probably a lot of fear and different like things I have to like, you know, move through. So I think they've kind of present themselves in a way that I can presently handle. But nonetheless, oftentimes I come back with downloads and messages and cool synchronicities. And I've also had many other types as well of ET encounters. But I want to just to kind of put this part out there. I'm not an expert in this. There are people I know who have far more like lucid experiences with extraterrestrial, going up on ships and all sorts of stuff. But I do feel very strongly that we're living in a very short window right now where all of this is going to start happening more and more to a lot of people. And I have a feeling the ETs are going to make themselves known in a more obvious way very soon. And honestly, I just feel like I'd like to help. I'd like to see that happen, to be honest. And I know there are different theories and perspectives on whether they're good or bad or both or whatever. But I don't know about you, but I feel like humanity needs something. It needs something to unify. It needs something to elevate our consciousness and to snap us out of our ordinary way of going about life, which is just killing the planet. We're killing ourselves. No one's happy. People are stressed, overworked, disconnected. And I think something like that could be a potential solution. So here I am with my YouTube channel, and I have experienced it. I've been going through these types of experiences for the last 20 years of my life, and I just want to kind of put it out there in case any of you have experienced anything like this as well, just so you know you're not alone. You're not the only one going through it. And I think we both know we're not crazy. I'm a pretty rational guy, contrary to what you might assume based upon what I talk about here. None of this stuff was always how it was for me. It all kind of came at later in life and during my spiritual awakening. So anyways, just throwing that last part out there. With that said, I hope you got something out of the video. Thank you so much for watching, my friends, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.